This is Japan's most beautiful train station. If that's all you're here for, then congratulations, you've reached the end of the video. But I hope this beautiful station has left you curious. Where are we? Why is this island top station here? And what is that tiny train that serves it? Well, do I have a story for you. Our story begins in the suburban city of Shimada, a city of a little over 93,000 people located around 170 kilometers southwest of central Tokyo. From Shimada Station, we'll take the train west, crossing the Oi River to arrive at Kanaya Station. It's here at Kanaya Station that we find the true beginning point of our journey today. While Kanaya serves the JR Tokaido line, there's also one other train line that stops at the station, the Oigawa Railway. This line is so small and so old that there's no IC card integration on the line, so these small paper tickets will have to do. At just after 7 in the morning, a small 2-car train pulls into Kanaya Station. This is a Nankai 21,000 series train, and it is old. These trains were originally constructed for the Nankai Electric Railway in Osaka during the late 1950s and early 1960s. 2 of these 21,000 series were transferred to this line in 1994, although this 2-car set is the only one still in operation as of 2026. At 7:24 a.m. on the dot, the first train of the day on the Oigawa line leaves Kanaya Station and starts heading north into the Oi River Valley. The section of the line we're currently on is known as the Oigawa Main Line. The line was completed back in 1931, running from Kanaya Station all the way to Senzu Station deep into the valley. As people in this area relied on horses and rafts to get around prior to the line's opening, the Oigawa Railway was a huge deal when it opened. Even on the lower stretches of the line, you get a sense for just how rural this area is. You pass through small stations that maybe get a few dozen people every day. And as someone who lives in the ever-expanding urban sprawl of Tokyo, experiencing rural Japan, even for a short time like this, it's truly refreshing. But as we reach Ieeyama Station, we encounter one of the major pitfalls of rural train lines in Japan. Although the Oigawa Main Line continues north for nearly another 20 kilometers to Senzu Station, at Ieeyama Station, everyone is forced off the train. In September of 2022, a major typhoon struck central Japan, with the Oigawa Main Line suffering major damage. Service on the line was suspended for nearly 3 months, and when it did resume, the line was only restored as far as Ieeyama, not the entire section of the line up to Senzu. The Oigawa Railway hopes to restore complete service on the line in 2029, although for now, we'll be riding everyone's favorite, a rail replacement bus, for 45 minutes to get to Senzu Station. As we arrive at Senzu Station, we can find something else that the Oigawa Railway is known for: Thomas the Tank Engine. In order to attract more tourists to the Oigawa Railway, Thomas and Friends began their service on the line in 2014. Fans of Thomas can ride in a Thomas and Friend pulled steam train from Shinkanaya Station all the way up to Kawane Onsen. Because the Oigawa Railway has very few regular passengers, doing things like adding Thomas and Friends to the line is crucial to attract people to keep the line's operation going. But finally, we come to what I consider to be the main attraction of the Oigawa Railway: the tiny red trains of the Oigawa Ikawa line. From this line's opening in the 1930s until 1959, the Ikawa line helped with the construction of dams along the Oi River, but it was transferred to the hands of the Oigawa Railway in 1959 and has become a primarily tourist line today. The Ikawa line takes its time as it winds through the river valley. To get from Senzu to our final destination, it takes just over an hour, something in a car that would only take 16 minutes. But you're not riding the Ikawa line for its speed. You're here for the beauty of it all. You're on a small train winding its way through the mountains, seeing the blue waters of the Oi River and surrounded by nothing but trees and mountain peaks. It's all calming. At least it is if you ignore the creaky train sounds. We encounter one final notable location before we arrive at our final stop. At Abd Ichishiro Station, we find Japan's only rack rail system. A rack railway is one in where a third geared rail is added to help trains climb and descend steep tracks. Originally, this system didn't exist on the Ikawa line, but due to the construction of the Nagashima Dam, an artificial lake was formed, this lake submerging the section of the Ikawa line from what is today Abt Ichishiro to Sessioku Onsen stations. But rather than calling the line a loss, it was decided to reroute the line alongside the new lakefront. This called for the line to rise by nearly 90 meters in elevation in just 1 kilometer, something out of the realm of possibility for normal trains. That's why the Abt system was introduced. Construction on the new section finished in 1990, leading to the creation of 3 new stations as well. After the large Abt locomotive is fully connected, the train takes us further into the mountains. For reference on just how steep this section is, my camera in this shot is level to the horizon. The train is really going up at that angle. After reaching Nagashima Dam Station, the Abt locomotive departs, and we hop back on the train for the final time. A few minutes later, we're 70 meters above the lakebed, crossing a bridge to our final stop. Welcome everyone to Okuoikojou Station, which I think is possibly Japan's most beautiful train station. Okuoikojou was one of the 3 stations that opened when the Ikawa line was rerouted due to the creation of the artificial Sesso Lake. The station sees only 5 trains a day arriving from Senzu Station. In 2014, the station received just around 106 passengers a day disembarking, although that's a relatively high number for the Ikawa line. The station itself has very little in the way of facilities. There's obviously no ticket gate, no station staff, no bathroom. And the only vending machine doesn't sell drinks, but tobacco, green tea packs sold to look like cigarettes. There's also the so-called Angel Power spot. It is said that if you come here with a partner and have a good time, you can leave a lock and ring the bell and your love will continue forever. Even if you don't come with a partner, ringing the bell and making a wish is said to make your wish come true. Just don't ring it too much or your wish will never come true. I wished for you to subscribe. So you should do that. Please. Now, that's not to say there's nothing at Okuoikojou. If you get off here, you're not exactly stranded and devoid of human contact like at some other rural stations. Up above the station platform, you can find a small cabin which has a bathroom and a cafe which sells some unique food. Chief among them is their famous Blue Lake Curry, a blue Japanese-style curry with rice formed to look like an island. The curry was alright. Of course, I can't complain about any food in the middle of the mountains, especially at a train station. But I will say it was worth it for the experience, even if I did get some stuck in my beard. As for the bathroom, it's also fine. Outside the bathroom, you'll find a little sign asking for a donation to help keep the bathrooms clean. So I gave 100 yen. And if you visit, I encourage you to do the same. Also, when you come to Okuoikojou, you might think that looking at the station you'd be completely stranded if you don't want to trek for hours through the mountains. But that's not true. If you go towards the east side of the station, you can make your way across the Rainbow Bridge. No, not that one. It's about 200 meters across the bridge, and surely not for the faint of heart, because you're 70 meters up off the lakebed on the bridge. So it really is one of those don't look down moments. But once you cross the bridge, you go up a long and steep flight of stairs. You then make your way through the forest and up a further trail. After about 15 minutes of walking, you'll arrive at the Okuoikojou Station Overlook, which is what truly made this station famous. The view from up here is utterly breathtaking. The stunning blue color of the lake mixed with the red rail bridge, the tiny trains of the Ikawa line mixed with the mountainous terrain. I stood here for a solid 20 minutes, just gazing out over the mountains and at the station. Even though it takes nearly 3.5 hours as is to reach Okuoikojou from Kanaya Station, I think this view alone makes the trip up here worth it. I'm so glad I made the trip out here, and I picked possibly the best time to do it. The reason I decided to come to Okuoikojou Station when I did is because a lot is changing on the Ikawa line. On April 27th of 2026, it was reported that the Ikawa Railway would be switching its operations to tourist trains with required reservations as of June 1st. Furthermore, the price of a ticket on the line would increase from a minimum of 170 yen to 3,500 yen. For reference, our trip between Senzu and Okuoikojou cost 720 yen one way, or 1,440 yen round trip. So if you wanted to travel between Senju and Okuoikojou, you'd have to pay nearly 5 times as much. If you add in the price of the Oigawa main line and bus between Kanaya and Senju, round trip, you'll now nearly pay 10,000 yen per adult to visit the Ikawa line via train. Unsurprisingly, people were not happy. President of the Oigawa Railway, Ryo Torizuka, said in an April 28th blog post that the changes were coming to the Ikawa line as it had no regular users for the past 15 years and that it had finished serving its role for the community. For any local residents, there would be a 1,000 yen commuter pass option. The plan was initially postponed by a May 8th town council meeting, although it was announced on June 2nd, 2026 that the price increase would go ahead as planned beginning on July 1st of the same year. Now, if you want to ride the Ikawa line, you'll have to reserve the train online. In the future, it seems as if the Ikawa line will be offering tickets that come bundled with things like lunchboxes or hot spring tickets, but those details haven't been confirmed as of the writing of this video. I truly think that riding the Oigawa Railway and coming out to stations like Okuoikojou is a worthwhile experience. It feels like a train line that's stuck in time, caught in the middle of the Showa era. If you're a big fan of trains like I am, seeing all the middle-of-nowhere stations along the line, the giant aft locomotive, and the old rickety rolling stock of the Oigawa main line makes it a worthwhile experience. And even if you're not, seeing the breathtaking mountain views surely make up for it. But do I think taking the train up to Okuoikojou is worth it at a 7,000 yen per adult price point? That I'm not so sure of. Of course, the Oigawa Railway doesn't appeal to the large majority of international tourists, most of whom would never even think about visiting Shizuoka Prefecture as a whole, apart from maybe Mount Fuji. Even for the most train-loving among them, they likely wouldn't want the struggle of waking up super early for the first train of the day and the roughly 6.5 hours by train it takes to get to Okuoikojou Station and back. But even for the Japanese domestic tourists, especially those living in the area, 3,500 yen is the price of a Shinkansen from Shizuoka to Odawara, and that only takes 45 minutes one way compared to 3 hours. When money is as tight as it has been in Japan for a lot of people, perhaps the Ikawa Railway will become less popular amongst its primary demographic. Perhaps the increased fares will help aid construction on the section of the line that's still out of service. Or perhaps so many people will be turned off by the increased fares that the line will have to shutter from low ridership in a few years. Only time will tell if this change will help or hurt the Oigawa Railway and the Ikawa line. I'd like to stay positive, but seeing the fate of other small rural lines throughout Japan, especially those affected by closures, I'm not so sure. But what do you think? Let me know down in the comments section below. As always, thank you so much for watching today. Take care, and goodbye for now.